So really, what I'm trying to say is, why should I feel pressured, right? I want to make sure that I have a practical way to find my way of success, and I'm willing to. If starting means, if the only way I can start is that level, what I'll do it. Now I want to give you another example. Now this example is on a very famous guy. He's not that old now. I think he's probably 45, 46 right now. Some people say he was the best ever. I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather Jr. It's very funny because Floyd Mayweather, whenever they talk to him, he says, I have some really amazing investments. I'm doing very well financially. He always claimed that he's worth $500 million. $500 million. Okay, Floyd Mayweather. He claims that all the time, right? He claims he never had a loss in boxing and all that stuff. You know, it's funny because him and 50 Cent have been good friends for a long time. I mean, I remember just about maybe 13, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, watching a video of him and 50 Cent hanging out. Like they were buddies and everything. That's like 15 years ago. And 50 Cent knows him really well. And 50 Cent came out. You know what he said? He said, this guy's broke. He says every time he fights, he lies. And I know he lies about the figures. He claims he makes $150 million a fight. That's all bullshit. And 50 was saying he makes more like 1.7 million or 2 million a fight, okay? And what he does is he spends all that money because he likes partying. He always rents himself he only rents himself Lambos, Ferraris, Bugattis. That's supposed to be a big role model. Even in the black community. By the way, the black community really considers Floyd Mayweather to be really high up there because he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs, he never sold drugs, he never did anything like that. So the black community thinks he's a big role model, okay, first of all. And here he is lying to the world all the time. Oh, I got connections with people who are like high up in this and that. Dude, I could have the president walk me to the fight. That's how influential I am, And the truth is, he's actually been to Dubai, and people will see him in Dubai. Oh my God, it's Floyd Mayweather. He goes to London, England. Oh my God, it's Floyd Mayweather. New York, LA, Miami. The truth, you know what 50 Cent said? 50 Cent said he's broke. He makes 1.7 million for the fight, spends it within 3 months, and he's broke, and he needs to fight again to get the money. I know how he makes money, okay? He gets money because he shows up to parties and they pay him like 10 grand. So he shows up to a party with all those girls that hang around with him, right? He gets 10 grand in his pocket. They get free bottles and they get to be like VIP of the night because they're with Floyd Mayweather. Like 10, 12 girls and some of his bodyguards and his buddies, right? I don't think he even pays his bodyguards, to be honest. I think his bodyguards are paid by like somebody who's like using him to make money at parties. Okay, the guy doesn't need to lie, but he lies to people all the time. He claims that he was already a millionaire when he was 18 years old, that he became a pro fighter at 18, he was already a millionaire and blah, blah, blah. That's an example right there, because this guy is on Instagram, he's on YouTube, he comes on, like, he's slowed down now, but back in the days, he was really active. Even after his retirement, he was always at some event, always talking, people are watching and everything. And here's a guy who's always lying about the amount of money he has. And again, he claims, oh, I came from nothing, I had nothing. How did you come from nothing, man? Your dad and your uncle were supposed to be former world champions, man. How did you come from nothing, man? I'm pretty sure your dad has some serious connections, man. How did you come from nothing, man? I don't believe it. But anyway, I'm not getting on him about that, but it's just a lying that, oh, I'm so rich. He shows up, I'm so rich. That's why I don't do shit like that. Everybody, I've never lied about, oh, I'm so rich or anything like that. I've never really lied about anything like that. I don't understand why people do that. I don't understand why I should be afraid. Is it some kind of, what do they call it? Like superiority complex, right? A guy might look at me and be like, I'm a fucking I'm rich as fuck. I'm successful. I'm pretty good looking. I'm in good shape. You know what I mean? I got like the best of the best clothes on. I got style. I got all the connections, friends around me, beautiful girls around me. And they're looking at this guy. You know what I mean? I don't know that that's true, but if that was the case, because I'm trying to figure out what is the case that people are fucking with me for. If that's the case, then like boo-hoo. You know what I mean? Boo-hoo. What else could we talk about? I have never been rich. Okay, I worked, like I said, I've always had a job since I was 15 years old. 15 years old, like I tried to get a job since I was 13, 14. Nobody would give me a job. Got a job at 15 years old. I really know what it's like to come from the bottom, but while still having my principles. And I gave you an example, like someone grows up in Venezuela, poor family, but he goes to church every Sunday, goes to church, reads the Bible in English, reads the Bible, right? Reads the Bible, doesn't want to steal, doesn't get into criminal activity, but gets older and realizes, man, there's nothing else for me, man. This is what I've always wanted and how I want to be, right? And then you see him change, into a different type of person. But again, I have gotten a lot of intimidation from people. It's only now that they're like, okay, realistically, let's not stop him from getting a job. Realistically, if he's able to let him get a job for a couple of months, let him work his way up. You know what I mean? Some people are really crazy, man. They're looking at me like, oh, why don't you do everything right now? Why are you wasting time? Go right now. What the fuck do you want me to do, man? What do you expect me to do? Because I'm not going back to robbing banks, man. I'll tell you right now. I'm not gonna go back to being a bank robber. That's for goddamn sure. So what do you expect me to like? It doesn't really make any sense. People trying to pressure you and all that stuff, and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't really like intimidation. Never have since I was younger. But I think I made a strong point in that last video, and that's why I'm coming with the sequel. Trying to think if there's nothing else to say, but again, I'm not opposed to doing things faster. I mean, the truth is I would do things as fast as I can. You could literally start with one job one day and it's shitty, and 2 months later you got something better, 3 months later even better. Who knows? If you hit it big, a year and a half later, you're worth millions and you got some money to play with. You can invest, you can travel, you can do all sorts of things that you want to do. But, like I said, I mean, it's interesting for me. If I could really have somebody talk to me one day, like a rich person talk to me one day and break it down for me, be like, this is why we hate you, or this is why we don't like you talking realistically about money and things, I'd be like, all right. You got to understand that, like, I might not be at the bottom. I might be way above that section, but I'm not really, not quite up there yet. I've heard that though. I mean, like I said, that stuff to me was normal. We'd hear about kids in Brazil with a lot of talent who grew up in favelas, had no money, but because of their talent, they got themselves a soccer deal, got scouted, made it to Europe in a Premier League, making millions of dollars. Like, I mean, I've always lived with the idea that was possible, that was a possibility, that you could start poor and become rich. Yeah, it's kind of rare and it's difficult to do, but it can happen. It's not really, it's not really a big deal. So this has been our person. So thank God I'm not doing a part 4 to this. I'm not doing another part to this, but we're gonna end it here. And this was the personal economics video sequel. And again, just to highlight and underline some things, again, what I'm trying to say is it's the same as working out. And as a male, I can say this. I know that there's a lot of men out there who are afraid to start working out in the gym. They're afraid because they're like, dude, I'm going to go there and I'm going to bench 70 pounds. Okay. And there are guys out there who are benching, like the average guy is benching 180. The average guy there, or like even like some of the strong guys are benching 300, 350, and I'm gonna start off benching 70. I'm gonna look like an idiot. For me, I'll tell you, I just blank it out. If I was in that situation, if I would, I do my thing. And when I was younger, people loved it. People loved me for that. They would talk about how I'd come in and I'd work out and people would give me looks and stuff, and I would blow all that past me. Like it didn't even faze me. Someone would make a funny comment about me on the side or something, or somebody would look at me funny or whatnot, and I wouldn't even get fazed by it. I never got fazed by that. I never got phased by that. I was never phased by, not have like I grew up where I grew up and went to school. Typically, people were not rich. You know what I mean? People were not rich. So I didn't grow up like that. And there was nobody that I talked to as a child ever in my life that was rich. I never knew any rich people my whole life. So you tell me, does it make any sense to be fearful of that or anything? There's a lot of jobs out there, and people are not. Listen, if you're an infantry soldier for your country, it is an honorable role. Definitely, people will give you kudos for you're willing to fight a war on behalf of all the people in your country, right? And you get respected. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be in Canada, Finland, America, Russia. You could be in, I don't know, you could even be in Iraq working for Saddam, and people are still like, wow, my son works for my country's army. I don't know if that's true, but I thought it'd be funny to throw that in there. But, what I'm trying to say is, you do that, I mean, you're basically making a pretty shitty income. You're an infantry soldier. What do you make, 45 grand a year? That's really fuck all. That's nothing. You're making 45 grand a year. That's nothing. You have a bunch of soldiers start, and at best, one guy 5 years later is making 90 grand a year. And one or two guys that were with them, that were rich kids, they just moved on to way better jobs. They thought it was fun to be an infantry soldier for a little while, but their uncles got the hookup, and they don't need that shit, and they're on a better life already. I don't know why, a police officer, starting police officer only makes like 60 grand a year. You're a police officer, you have a badge, you can harass people, you can arrest people. You only make 60 grand a year, man. Being rich is not easy, and fewer people are rich and more people are not with money. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to, if somebody threw this at me and said, well, people think too much of you, I'd be like, what do you want me to do, man? People think too much of me. Well, what is that supposed to mean? People think too much of you for you to go do it. Like, what is that supposed to mean? People think too much of you. So, no, I had something to say about that. Again, you have to start to be great, man. You got to start somewhere, man. I don't let my ego get the better of me for those particular things, because I'm realistic. I always think of the bigger picture too. By the way, I bet that rich guy made that comment to me, and what did I say to him? He showed me a Ferrari. I thought it was his. I assumed it was his Ferrari parked in his villa. And I was like, yo, that's really good, man. Kudos to you for having the Ferrari. That's a really amazing thing, man. Can I take a picture with it? Yeah, sure. Go ahead, take pictures with it. You know what I mean? But that is what it is. I mean, that's how I grew up, man. I don't know, man. Like I said, there's no shame. I'll give you a story. I got a story, and I'm gonna tell you in this last few seconds. So I was at a gym when I was about 16, 17 years old. Okay, I was 16, 17 years old. Right, and it doesn't matter where I was. I was at a gym, and there was this big fat guy, this big fat Greek guy, huge fat Greek guy. He was kind of like, I don't know, there was something wrong with the guy's head. All he ever talked to me about was, you gotta feed a girl Greek food. I don't know what he was. One day I see him, and there was a businessman. Okay, so the guy, it looked like the guy was a businessman. He was made of money and whatnot. So they started having a conversation. He approached him, started talking to him, and he goes, "What do you do?" He goes, "I work on basically something that sounded like Wall Street, And the guy goes, "Oh, really?" So he wants to impress him. So you know what he says? He goes, "You know where I work?" He goes, "Well, I work in the food court of the mall that's across the street." And he goes, "Yeah, it's at that Greek restaurant. It's a family business." You know what the guy said to him? He smiled, and you know what he said to him? In front of me, I saw this whole thing go down. The guy smiled at him and said, the rich guy smiled at him and said, "Listen, there is no shame in an honest day's work." And then the guy just got hit, and he just didn't even know what to react or say. That's what he told him. He said, "Dude, there is no shame in an honest day's work." And that was it. So think about that. The rich guy said there's no shame in an honest day's work. Sometimes you got to do an honest day's work, and that's all it's about. Anyways, I'm done with this, and that's it.